Miss Daisy told me yesterday, she says, you old horny sumbitch, you. I said, what's the matter, baby girl? She says, 6 times a week? Really? 6 times a week? I said, baby girl, listen, like I tell everybody, if you're horny, you're healthy. She just says, I'm telling you something right now. She said, you're about to wear my ass out, and I'm going to give you permission to date other stuff. I said, really? You're cool with that? She said, oh yeah, you need to get some other action here. You can still get action at the house, but you know, this 6 days a week stuff is just, I said, well, you gotta have 1 day of rest, baby girl, you know? I said, you're cool with me going out and getting some side action? She said, oh yeah, uh-huh. I said, all right, I'm gonna do it under one condition. She said, what would that be? I said, I'm gonna date only black girls. She just looked at me with the strangest look, guys. She said, why would you just date black girls? I said, because I actually hate getting introduced and talking to fathers. And she just looked at me, guys. Her eyes rolled back in her head, and she just shook her head and went, shook her head and walked out of the room. Okay, Biden and Harris, I know what you're up to. In November, you want to run for another 4 years. But all I can tell you two is don't. That's right. Don't. Good morning, boys and girls. How are we today? So glad you came into Steve-O's world. It's a wonderful place, isn't it? It's a wonderful place to be in sunny Florida. I'm over at my out-yard. I was here yesterday, and I noticed one when I was changing, I'm putting on feed jars. They're not hitting the feed real heavy right now for the simple fact we've got gallberry and palmetto and a smorgasbord of other things coming in right now. So, but they are hitting the syrup because it's right on top of their head. I mean, it's in their face. They're going to eat it. But as far as hitting, I've got at the base camp, I've got a jar next to the pollen trap, and that's kind of my indicator of how the flows are running. If it's ever in question, I just put out the feeder jar. And if there is nothing coming in, they're hammering it, okay? They're not even touching it, guys. Tallow, we just looked at the tallow trees. There's 2 nice big ones in my neighborhood, and they got big old shoots coming up out of them. They come straight up. Those tallow trees, they come straight up, like little spikes all over it. Trying to reach the sun, I guess. They're coming straight up. So I'm gonna guess we're like a week or 2 from exploding. There's other things happening. I'm trying to get tallow seed. I need to get some fresh tallow seed because the seed I have, I picked from another tree. This is still from last year's crop, from last spring. They call it a popcorn tree too. It almost looks like popcorn when they open up because they're white when that pod opens up. It's a little green pod, and then it explodes finally, and you've got, I think, 3 seeds in there, and it's white. It looks like a popcorn. Hence the name popcorn tree or tallow tree or soap tree. I think it comes from Asia, China area. They make soap, from what I hear, from the seeds. You can make a biofuel from the seed, from what I hear. Very invasive tree. I guess it comes from China. Yeah, so the tallow tree is, I'm not really sure what the honey tastes like. You guys out there that know, like around Mississippi in the swampy areas, Butts Bees, she talks about it. They have a lot in her area where she raises her bees. So let me know what that honey tastes like. I'm curious. I'd like to Johnny Appleseed this whole freaking area with it. But I think the state would get mad at me. I'm not sure. I mean, what the heck? It's here anyway. You can't stop nature, and you cannot. The birds scatter these. I understand the squirrels grab those nuts and bury them too. So I don't know. I can blame it on the squirrels, you know, burying their nuts, you know. But we'll see. We'll see about that. It's like kind of like Brazilian pepper. That stuff is popping up everywhere. From my area south all the way to the flipping Everglades, it's popping up everywhere. And along the coast too. I've seen it all the way up to Crystal River, about an hour, 45 to an hour north of me, right along the coast. It's not inland so much because frost will kill it, but because they don't like frost. It's a subtropical, you know, plant. Comes from Brazil, Brazilian pepper, right? So the birds do spread those seeds, and that's why you see them along fence lines in the fall of the year, Christmas time. And Christmas time here in Florida, those things, you'll see little red berries, tons of them all over that thing. And I understand inside of that little red berry, as you start to, you know, really seed out, it's a little black seed. And I understand you can take them seeds, Hippie John was telling me, you can dry them seeds, put them in a pepper grinder and grind them up and actually use them as a seasoning like you would black pepper. I don't know, I've never tried it, so I don't know. Yeah, so anyway, I'd like to see more of that. Now that pepper crop doesn't pop until about September 15th, right there right in the middle of hurricane season. And that's about the only thing that'll knock that crop out is a heavy rain. But I've gone through storms. I went through a flood one year down there in Northport. I was on 4-way pallets, guys. 4 hives to the pallet, running 10 frame equipment. And I was out on a power line. Why I didn't get my ass thrown out of there, I don't know. But nobody ever called me. And the water came up, guys. We had a 3-day frog choker. And the water came up, all the way up. All of my hives. I about crapped my pants when I pulled into that site. And the water was all the way out to Highway 41. And I'm going, oh my God. So I pulled in there and waded out in there to that power line. And I knew the power line was going from the road was higher than that power line. And it got deeper as I went. The water, guys, was about 1 inch. I had 10 frame equipment and I had a excluder on every one of those. Every one of them hives had 4 shallow supers on it. The water was 1 inch from the excluder. I didn't lose a queen. It was mind-blowing, guys. I took the bees, I had kind of ratty equipment. There was some knot holes, and thank God it was ratty because the bees couldn't get out of the box. All I could do, I had my forklift with me, and I started stabbing. I couldn't even see the bottom of the pallets. I was just blind stabbing underneath, picking them up, and setting them on top of other hives. So they were out of the wall. Not all of them, most of them. The ones I couldn't, and I started losing footing in there. I thought, my God, if I get my fork loader stuck back here, I'm going to be in deep dookie. So I just stopped. Once I started moving, I could feel the bottom giving way, and I just stopped. And I said, oh, screw it. I went out there, took my hive tool, and cracked the bottom super, guys, and I gave it just a little twist to where I had a little hole. those bees started just boiling out of them freaking supers, right? And I told my sidekick, Bobby, I said, we're out of here. Nothing we can do. There was no high ground anywhere. I couldn't just lift those bees up and go over to high ground. There was none. The whole place, unless I set them in the middle of highway, in the medium and Highway 41, and that wasn't going to happen. So I was screwed. So I said, let's just cross our fingers. We may lose most of these colonies. I said, I don't know. We came back, guys. All of that brood, that whole brood chamber within less than 1 inch of that excluder was underwater. So all that brood died. It was a rotten mess. But the water, with a week's time, it all drained out, subsided. I came back. I just said, screw it. I came back, and they were filling up those boxes. I said, we're going to go back and harvest honey the next weekend. Or it was 2 weeks. We went back in 2 weeks. I said, we were geared up to harvest honey, if there was anything. I didn't know what nightmare scenario I was coming back to. This happens all the time in Florida to these beekeepers. I don't know about other areas, but in Florida, yeah, you better be watching your locations, guys, because, and it's hard to do it sometimes because you don't have, it's getting tougher and tougher to find places to put bees. And some joker will say, yeah, you can come on my property, put them way the hell down there away from my place. Well, you better be saying, does that flood down there? You ever seen that flood? You better be asking these questions because you're going to lose bees if you don't. I had one fella I knew, and he said that his bees, he was right by a friggin' creek. It was a salt creek. And the storm came in, the whole area flooded, the high tide came in and actually floated now, mind you, floated he lost 1 pallet. The rest of them were underwater and completely drowned. 62, he puts like 62 pallets per yard, 62 pallets or hives, I forget. I think it's pallets, or is it hives? I don't remember. It's a bunch of bees. And 1 pallet floated on out to the Gulf of Mexico. He never did find it. It was floated up and gone. He found boxes everywhere, and he said he did what I did. He went in there and started cracking and moving top. He was up there, he said nut bag deep in water, working these hives, cracking the tops so they could, breathe and get out. But he said the bees were all up in the trees, hanging all over the place. They absconded out of them drowned boxes. So he went back later on and shaking bees into boxes. He said I had to load up all that crap, take back to base camp, fire up the pressure washer, and just throw that stuff out. He said, and just blast wax and everything right off. It was all a rotten mess. All that brood was rotting in there because it was drowned in this nasty. He said he just pressure washed the whole freaking load. But he's a queen breeder, and I guess his buddy is a commercial breeder. A commercial beekeeper, and he goes out to the Dakotas. I think he does. I think he said he does almonds in California, and then he goes to the Dakotas. And he was in Florida when that happened. He'd come back to Florida to winter. He said, listen, just put your bees, all those dead boxes, you put those dead boxes on top of my bees and fill them suckers up with bees. So that's what he did. And then of course he treated him right with new queens and this and that. So thank God he was a queen breeder too, because he could reload all them boxes. But be careful on this where you're setting hives, because you can get drowned out real easy. Okay, it was kind of interesting day yesterday. One of the fellas in the old bee club, He's having trouble seeing his bees and this and that. And he's got a bunch of trees, or he got a big oak that has got to get cleaned, get chopped out, cut back to the property line. The grass was up really high, the weeds are getting high, and he told me, Steve, can you come and get this box that's double stacked and just get him out of here? I can't even, my eyesight's not getting to where I can really see these bees that good, and I just need to get these bees out of here so we can clean this yard up. I said, okie doke. I said, well, if you ever need bees, you know, you get squared away here, you need bees again, you just call me. I'll bring you back a box of bees so you can play with bees. I hate to see a beekeeper not have bees to play with. So he said, okay. So I went and got them bees, and these bees had not been worked in years. Now he told me when I went there, I said, it was a 10 frame box sitting on top. It was a 10 frame box below with an 8 frame box on top, and there was this much gap on one side, and you could actually see the frame there. That whole trough right there we could see was full of bees. And there was an entrance all the way across the bottom on the tin. The bees were coming and going out of there. The weeds are all growed up around this thing. It hasn't been touched in years. I said, has this hive ever been fed? No. There was an entry feeder there, but he said, that thing ain't seen feed for forever. And I said, has this hive ever been treated for mites? Nope, never touched it. Okay. I said, where did you get this queen? I'm not really sure. He said, I went to a Georgia meet up there and this and that, and I'm not sure if I bought that queen or it was given to me or what. He really didn't recall what situation was. So I said, okay. So I said, well, I brought a bunch of 5s so I could transfer this stuff over into 5s and kid it. It was, I don't know, 50-yard walk out to my truck. I had to go through an airplane hangar and come out in the back here where the stuff was. And so anyway, I popped the lid, got geared up, popped the lid on this thing, and he said, they may be testy. I said, they've been testy? Yeah, they've been a little testy in the past. I said, okay. Well, I was geared up. I had the full suit, lots of Playtex gloves on. I was ready to go into the battle. I popped the lid, guys. Little puff of smoke. These girls were just mellow as jello. I said, And the first thing I was looking for was hive beetles. Yeah, I thought to myself, well, when I pop this lid, I'm probably going to see just a swarm of hive beetles, you know. And then I was looking for a bunch of cripple wing viruses from beetles and varroa mites. Nothing. These bees were chilling. They were looking healthy. There was honey right along that edge. I mean, there was honey in there. But here's the big Bertha but. That 8-framer on top, when I popped the lid, it was a telescopic lid, and it kind of hung over to where that you could see where that one frame was daylighting there, because there was an 8 sitting on top of a 10, so there was this much room on one side, and I could see the top bar of a frame there. Well, guess what? That top bar downstairs in that 10-frame unit was the only frame down there. So, because when I popped the first frame out of the top in the 8-frame box, pulled it out, there was a little wobble comb in there, and there was a bunch. I had a hard time getting it up. Well, what the heck's going on here? And I finally cracked it loose, got it up, and there was this much wild comb built on the bottom of that frame, on a deep frame. And I peeked down in there, and it looked like all wobbled out wild natural comb just dangling off of these deep frames in the top section. I said, oops. So I told him, I said, I don't think there's any frames downstairs other than this one sitting over here on the edge. He said, could be. That could be. So anyway, I should have, now that hindsight's always 20/20, I should have just picked the whole, took the bottom, or took the whole, if I could, my back won't take it, because it would have been heavy. I probably would have blown my back out trying to lift the whole thing. But like Martin was saying, if you ever have a situation like that before, take some fishing twine, whatever, like maybe some spider wire, fishing line like spider wire, and get up under there and put that line under and just drag it through and shear off all that wild comb under there. If you ever have run into this situation, guys, you might think of it. Shear it off, and what Martin said made a lot of sense. Shear that off, and then I could have taken the bottom off, picked that whole bottom section with that wobble comb. At least it was stable, right? And then you could take that back to base camp and set the lower unit on the bottom, set that one on top, and let them work that, because it was a mixed batch of larvae, seal brood, and honey downstairs. So anyway, what I did is pick that top section up and gave it once I seen what I had, before I pulled any more frames, I cracked it loose, and I took that whole top and I started torquing it like this. And what I did was sheared off all of that comb that was stuck to the frames up top. I just sheared it off. It was sloppy, granted. So I had 5 nooks with me. My plan was to take these 5 nukes and start taking out all these resources. I figured I had 20 frames. I didn't know he had an 8 on top, but I just figured he had 10 below. There was only 1 below. And there was 8 frames upstairs just blowed out with honey and everything. The 3rd frame I pulled, guys, out of that top section, that 8 framer up top, great big fat ass yellow Italian queen was walking around in there. Yeah. So I quickly put her over in. I loaded that box with extra frames from top, and I put queen right on it, shrink wrapped it, put it on the truck. It's back at base camp. And I told Tim, I said, I'll tell you what, from what I've seen here, she has not been treated at all for all these years. These bees have got to be super hygienic. Yeah. And their disposition was great. At least it was yesterday. I don't know what it'll be today. We're going to go back in there and find out. I'm just going to peek in there if they're chilling. I had to push some comb. There was a little bit of warp comb, and I just push it in and slide it down. There was a little bit of honey running out the bottom. I said they'll clean it up, and they'll patch what I pushed in so they can get some. They'll rework it to where they can get bee space and work in there. But that takes a few days. I'm just going to peek in there real quick and look just under the lid. I don't think I'll pull any frames out, at least for another week. I'm going to let them all settle. The other portion, I was able to get her in a box with resources, and then I put other resources in another 5, and that's going to be basically a walk away. I might peek into that in a few days and see if they're making cells in there. If they are, that'll be cool. I'll have genetics from her in that box. But from what I saw yesterday, guys, that girl there, and she's a big queen too, big yellow queen. She could possibly be a breeder, definitely. Because he never treated them. He wasn't into treating bees at all. So we'll see. Well, let's get out here. Let me get my veil on, and I'll pop a few lids here, see what I got here. I brought 2 boxes. Hopefully that's all I need. Because right now they're bringing in stuff like crazy. Hopefully these boxes are pumping up. if they get a good mating, all these are new queens I got. All the old queens have been sold out. They're gone. This is all new stock here. Some make it, some don't. Some are better than the others. If they just don't want to get their ass in gear, I usually terminate them. We'll put in new resources from a good queen, make them redo it again. But I don't want to do any of that until new moon. We got new moon coming in, is it 5 or 7? May 5 or 7, I forget. I'd have to relook. I think it's 7. I don't want to make any more boxes up until 7. I talked to Matthew Beck, and he said he should have some queens ready to rock and roll on mid 2nd, 3rd week in May. And I told him I'd like to get 5 queens. He usually gives me a pretty decent price on them. So what I'll do is make up. I'm thinking about just getting them started. I'll probably get them started with minimal resources in it and put them in 5s. I want to try this year, guys, just for experiment. I want to take 2 really fat resources of frames with some eggs and try to do a walk away and a 2 frame. Just strictly experimental. Done it for years with 3 frames in a 3 frame box. I've taken 3 frames of resource, put them in a 5 frame box, and done excellent. Mark a date on the top, come back 30 days from that date, and look at your new baby girl in there. See how she's doing. I've had excellent luck doing that, but I've done it always on honey flows. Every time I'd go to the next honey flow, I'd try to hit that honey flow when the thing was in full bloom. If timing was right, it's tricky. But if that heavy flow's coming in, you don't need to feed them bees, and you can make some beautiful queens doing that. Problem was, back in the day when I was a honey guy, I didn't care how mean them bees were, and I was inbreeding the hell out of them bees, and I ended up with some pretty mean bees, but I made a mean load of honey with them. Them mean bees, I mean, they made honey like you wouldn't believe. But you better suit up. I mean, you better suit up, because they're going to beat your ass, I'm telling you. So I'm not into that these days. I'm getting to be an old fart, and I just don't want to battle them bees like I used to. Plus, I'm selling bees. Why would you want to sell mean-ass bees to some kid or somebody that's just getting into bees? They're going to get ate up, and they're going to go, I don't think so. This ain't for me. So they move on, you know, and then you got a bad reputation. Isn't that nice? Yeah, I want to try to not get a bad reputation like Joe and Harris, you know. I just don't want that bad reputation. So anyway, I'm going to get suited up here, and let's take a peek in the box, see what we got. Be like Christmas, won't it? Okay, guys, yeah, this colony here, what I thought, because they're bringing it in really well. I mean, they got a little elbow room here, but yeah, this thing's really filling up. And this queen here, she's brand new. Every hole here has got an egg in it, guys. Every hole, yes. Unbelievable. I brought some of my bamboo frames. What I'm going to do is take this frame right here and move it over. I'm going to drop a bamboo frame in there. And I'm going to bring this frame up top. I'm going to set another 5 super on here. I got 2 on the back of the truck. I've got, what have I got? 5 units here. And I only brought 2 boxes, so I'm going to check them all and get an idea how much, you know, time I have. I do not want these girls slowing down a bit. Yesterday I put food, there's a feeder right there. I filled that feeder up yesterday and it's completely bone dry, so they sucked it up. So yeah, we got some nice little action going on here. So let me get this girl stacked up. All right, I've got one of my bamboo frames here, and what Martin's doing, I like what he's doing. What he's doing here, let me show you something. He's buying the frames. You can go ahead and make these. Take a 5/64 bit. That's what that hole is, and that's what that bamboo skewer fits in. You want 18-inch skewers. You can get them. I've seen them online, different prices. The last batch I bought was their 18-inch skewers. I got what the heck was it? 100 of them, I think it was, for $14. But what Martin's doing, and I like, you got on a pre-drilled frame, you got 4 holes, okay, 4 holes. And what he's doing is using the top hole, the bottom hole, and then in between there's no hole, but he drills a hole, and then he centers that so it's equally portioned. But this will work fine, I believe. He also went to a kitchen store where they sell kitchen, you know, restaurant supply stuff, and he bought a pan, 2 pans, and one is a little bit deeper than the frame. And he's got also went to Salvation Army and bought a grill plate. You plug it into 110. Then he puts this bottom pan on there, puts wax in it to where the wax is a little bit, I don't think it's quite as high as the frame. Could be, but he drops it in this way and then flips it over, drops it that way in the wax, then pulls it up and lets it drip a little and sets it aside. Now you've got a frame that's completely jobber-dobbered with beeswax, and that's how he's going to do it. Here I did it. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'll just probably just, you know, whatever, paint it on, whatever. That's what I did here. I did it on my bench, and it was a steel top table, and the wax would hit the bench, but I could scrape it up with a putty knife and throw it back into the you know, into the melting pot. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to incorporate these in. I think I brought 2 here. I may bring up 2 in the center up top and drop these in. You want to drop these bamboo frames in between filled out frames, okay? Don't throw these in wild, because you'll have a flippin' mess. All right, that's my spin on it. Check this out, guys. This is some of the stuff Martin's producing. Look at this. This comes from his queens. Some of this is Matthew Queen's. Some of the stuff's walk away, but look at this frame here. Tell me if this is not a quality queen. Look at this thing. This is what we're looking for. This is the kind of breeding stock we want. Now this would be an excellent queen to breed from. Be looking for these. They don't all come out this way, but when you're looking for a queen to breed from, this is what you want. There's a bee right there walking around. You see that pollen on them right there? That is saw palmetto pollen. Yes. All right, let me fill this box up. Okay, I got her stacked up, and put breeder on the top of this box. And any beehives that I see that look like this girl here, disposition nice, filling out every cell with larvae, they're getting a breeder sign on them, bringing in lots of pollen. Love it. Okay guys, here's one of them bamboo frames. They're working it. They're putting in some drone action here. It's not the prettiest stuff in the world. And they're putting a little nectar in over here. It was on the far end over here, okay? This one here, and they're putting brood in it and all. You see what they're doing. I think if you set them up correctly, and see the bees will put windows up here where they want them. But to fill this out better, I'm going to stick this thing, checkerboard it, and get this thing right in the middle here. I'm not really sure how and why this bamboo, I put BB, was over here. It should have been in the middle. But anyway, I got it in the middle now. Yeah. But it's not ready for another one. It's not ready for another super on it. I've been putting my beetle barns toward the front end up here. And then if I have an amatraz towel, which they've already eaten up a whole lot of here, I'll usually put them in the back, so that way they chew them up and carry the debris on a 45-degree angle out to this front. And that way you're dragging amatraz all through the unit and helping knock out them burrows. I only got one stacked up. I got to go into this one, but so far I've only had to double stack one. It's looking to me like, guys, this last hive in this yard here, we're going to pull this. I got a BB right here. I can see these are all fattened out quite nicely. But the beetle barns, they get kind of, in a month's time, they get jammed up. So just take your hive tool. Sorry, I dropped you. Just take your hive tool, because I dummied up and forgot to bring fresh ones. Just stick your hive tool in there and plow them holes open. There's probably entombed beetles in here now. So we'll let some more go in there and they can entomb them puppies in there also. Well, this is cool. This one's loaded. Got lots of eggs and brood in here. Yeah, this got this little bit to grow on this one, but that's all right. We'll put it in the inside. Let's see what this bamboo frame looks like. I'm kind of curious here. Okay guys, nothing wrong with this. Here's our bamboo frame. This happens to have 4 sticks in it. Ain't nothing wrong with this. This thing's loaded with larvae. This side here looks a little warbly, as you can see. It'll be fine though. It'll be fine. These girls are doing fine. This is a excellent queen here. I'm going to put breeder on this lid also. Yes, sir. This one, luckily, I brought 2 boxes and it worked out. Maybe the bee gods are with me today, you reckon? Yeah, this is going to get a box. I'm going to move one of these up. I may keep this bamboo frame below and move up one of these fatties. Probably that one right there. Well, I'll move upstairs. We'll put another box on. That'll force these bees up into the super upstairs, see? And get them working that stuff faster. Okay guys, I got her stacked up. I had 2 bamboo frames. I dropped one down there and one up here. I drop them in between some full stuff. And the reason is that bamboo is against the wall. I had some sketchy stuff that wasn't filled out. So what I did last time I was here, I moved that bamboo clear over and dropped in one. So now they're trapped against that wall. So they got nothing to do but build straight up. They're fighting a wall and they're fighting a one that's drawn out. So it forces them in. That's the reason that was over there. But I moved it to the center. I put a bamboo up here and did actually the same thing. I put it over on this wall because I was hurting for material. I got foundation. I got one from downstairs up here in the middle. That'll help draw them up. And I put breeder on there. I put breeder plus on there, but I'm not so sure that this girl here will know in a couple weeks. We got at least 2 weeks on these girls to fill this stuff out, and by then we'll be into needing more resources. So hey, it's coming along fine. I'm a very happy beekeeper right now. Yeah, I'm happy with this yard right here, guys. I don't need to really see these girls for another 2 weeks. These jars of syrup on here right now are just really something extra. They're really not hammering it that hard. Normally a hive like these strong ones here will suck this quart down in 1 day. They put a little dent in them. I mean, a little bit, but not too exciting, for the simple fact we got nectar coming in from the wild here. So yeah, I'm really happy with this, and by the time we're ready to make more splits, you know, the first part of May, we should have plenty of goodies to work with. We can come in and rob resources here. You know what, we can replenish this, leave the second box on, replenish, so that bottom girl can keep going. Don't steal your queen, be careful, don't leave her cooking in this hive. We're making up more hives, more to make more queens. Obviously we don't want to steal her, so be vigilant, don't steal the queen. But if you do, it ain't no biggie. I mean, because I'm writing numbers on here. Yeah, we come in say rob and rob resource to make up queens. We'll put on there, I'll put on whatever date it is. It'll be 5 whatever. We're not going to come back in till 6 whatever June. So yeah, whatever we make up in May, we'll come back in June. 1 month is their cooking time on these puppies, and see where we're at. So I'm pleased with this yard. Let's go back to base camp, see what's back there. Maybe we can stack up some more stuff over there. Here's another tip from Steve-O. You can get these jugs everywhere. They're cheap. I just tie it off. I don't run around town with this thing flopping around the back of the truck. I got some number 30 tarred nylon here, string. I run it through the handle. I park it right here, but as I need it, when I hit the site, I pull it to the back. Now you got water here. See, you can clean your hands off. You're gonna have honey, sticky honey all over your hive tool is gonna be with honey stuck all over it. You can rinse your tools off, rinse your hands off, and if it's clean, you got drinking water. So yeah, make sure you carry a jug on your truck when you're jumping from yard to yard. Okay guys, here's that queen-right colony. I put queen-right on it. I picked up yesterday. This was that abandoned hive. See, they're all chilling out. I put one drawn comb in there. I mean foundation in there. So I'm gonna put food on these girls here. Like I said, there's natural stuff coming in, but we'll put food on them and keep them pumped up. I just got to go through all these colonies here, see how they're doing, see if they need, what do they need, are they dying, what are they doing, you know. This one here, this one with a shrink wrap on it, this is the one I did a little walk-away deal on it, salvage. I'm gonna have to go in here in about a week and see what they're up to, see if they need, you know, what they need. They've got eggs and stuff in here, but I really don't know. Wait for about a week. We'll go in here and see exactly what they got to have. I'll put a feeder on this also. This hive here, let's see what we got here. This thing is fattened out. This thing is plump. All frames, I can look down through here and see there may be, yeah, it looks like there's a little room on this side. Looks like there's a little room on this side yet. Let's look at this bamboo frame, BB frame here. Just for giggles. To see how that's going. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's get in the sunlight here. Nothing wrong with that, guys. There's a little bit of drone brood over there. Okay, but the majority of it, look at it, it's completely filled out. Look at that. Completely filled out. And I'm telling you right now, this hive needs a box on top of it right here. She's fattened up. I'm going to move this frame up. I'm going to drop a plain one right down in the middle there. Yes, sir. I'm going to make sure my queen ain't on here. She is marked, I'm quite sure. I don't want her running up the sidewall of this hive here. Yes, I'm loving it, guys. I am freaking loving it. Love it and can't get enough of it. These bees are an addiction, okay? 60 plus years, guys, of working bees, and I never get tired of it. So if you want a hobby that you'll never get bored with, you found it. You've come to the right place, Steve-O's Base Camp, because for me, this never gets boring. These bees always teach you something, and if you screw up, they will teach you, and if they don't like the way you're treating them, they will hurt you. So respect your bees. Thank you, please. And I'm going to see you on the next one, guys. I'm going to run through all these colonies here, take a peekaboo, and hey, take advantage of it. When there's nectar coming in, guys, be ready. Get your boxes ordered up, get your frames ordered up ahead of time, because this stuff can happen fast. I mean fast. And you don't want to sit there and have this box blown out where she's got nowhere to run, nowhere to room to lay eggs. She's gonna swarm, then you got $100 worth of bees flying in the trees. Don't want that. No, no, no. All right, guys. Be happy, be strong. We got to keep getting it on. As always, I will see you real soon. Bye-bye.